Franck Ribéry is the so-called jewel of French football. Arguably the greatest footballer to emerge from Africa, the brilliant Didier Drogba. David Villa, Spain's all-conquering striker. And the man who saved Chelsea so many times, goalkeeper Petr Čech. This is the Immortals. In the wake of the great Zinedine Zidane, France needed a new generation of superstar footballers. Step forward Franck Ribéry. A quick, skillful and dangerous winger for the French national team for 8 years. And a fixture at the mighty Bayern Munich through that club's greatest period in the German Bundesliga. Zidane himself was an admirer, calling him the jewel of French football. They had played together briefly at the 2006 World Cup in Germany. Ribéry the young tyro and Zidane the captain of Les Bleus. On a day when the French were beaten by Italy, Zidane sent off for his headbutt on Marco Materazzi. Ribéry was 23 and had the football world at his dancing feet. But in the 2010 World Cup in South Africa, the French failed, bombing out in the first round amid dressing room acrimony. And by the 2014 tournament in Brazil, a back injury prevented him from competing after the qualifying stages. And France had found fresh new heroes, Paul Pogba and Antoine Griezmann. France's downturn as a football power coincided with Ribéry's peak, and there were disappointments at the 2008 and 2012 UEFA European Championships too. His World Cup winners' medal never came, nor his Euro title for France. So it was in the Bundesliga that Ribéry thrived, having signed for Bayern in 2007 for what was then a club record transfer fee of 25 million euros from Marseille in the French league. His story appealed to the Bavarians as the French fans had tired of him, Ribéry having grown up in the housing projects of Boulogne in northern France. Injured in a car accident as an infant, he carried the after effects, a deep scar down the right side of his face that brought along the unfortunate nickname Scarface. I'm proud of my scar. It gave me strength and forged my character. There was a rags to riches element about his tale, and at Bayern the triumphs duly came. There were Bundesliga and German Cup titles in his first 3 seasons, with the double completed on each occasion. 10 years on, Franck Ribéry had been an integral part of Bayern's greatest era. He had clocked up an astonishing 9 German league titles, 6 cup titles, a UEFA Champions League title and a FIFA Club World Cup with the mighty Bayern, and taken part in the historic Continental Treble in 2013. Bayern broke records in that season for points scored and had the title secured by April, ultimately finishing 25 points clear of any other team. The Bavarians became the first German team to achieve the feat of league title, cup title and Champions League in the same year, a monumental achievement under the stewardship of Jupp Heynckes. Bayern had established itself as the most powerful club in the world. By the end of 2019, Bayern's streak of German league titles had extended to 7, starting in 2013, and Franck Ribéry had found his spiritual home.
Ribéry and Bayern. This just fits. And together, it's a heart.
And head.
Still to come on the Immortals, the controversial side of Franck Ribéry. Franck Ribéry is his own man. He was expelled from Lille's youth academy at 16 for failing to complete homework, and he has found trouble more than once in his career. When France's players technically went on strike at the 2010 World Cup over the expulsion of Nicolas Anelka, refusing to train under coach Raymond Domenech, Ribéry was at the forefront of the trouble. Ribéry always explained that he needed freedom to play his football and to enjoy himself. I'm not a saint, I'm not an educated man, but I'm not stupid or twisted. Marrying his childhood sweetheart from Boulogne, Wahiba, he converted to Islam. His Islamic name is Bilal Yusuf Muhammad. In 2010, he and another French national team player were interviewed by police over an allegation that they had picked up an underage prostitute. Ribéry apologized for his behavior, and the charges were later dropped. He has emerged as a flawed genius of football.
Ja, für mich Fußball, das ist schon arbeiten, natürlich.
For me, football is work, but also fun, of course. When you come to training or are on the pitch, that's fun for me.
Das ist Spaß, verstehe, wenn ich mal auf dem Platz dribbling und ein gutes Gefühl.
Every bit of dribbling, running, fighting, that's a good feeling. Or the gratitude of the audience, that's always nice and gives you a good feeling. Sometimes it makes me happy when I have a bad game, but score 2 goals. Just because I'm on the pitch and try to give everything.
Das ist immer schön.
While it's true that some fans in France lost their love of Franck Ribéry, this is not so in his hometown Boulogne, nor in Munich. In Boulogne, civil authorities and the Nike Corporation erected a 30-meter poster of him in the lead-up to the 2010 FIFA World Cup. Franck, he is known as in his home city, or Little Frank. In Munich, he is revered for the purity of his play, and the feeling is mutual.
Ja, schön, so schön. Für mich best.
This is beautiful. So beautiful, and the best for me.
Ich habe nie gewusst, wieso sofort und schnell so gut für mich, verstehst du?
I came to Munich and never understood why it worked so quickly. I played well and was immediately celebrated by the fans. Everyone said it's fun, and I'm a likable person, talking to all the people and respecting everyone. This is important for me. Of course, I'm a player and I have a name, but it's fun when you give an autograph, take a picture with the fans, or just talk with them. That's always nice.
His coaches at Bayern knew not to mess with his game too much, and the Frenchman appreciated it. He formed a wonderful combination with Arjen Robben, the Dutch forward, as Bayern utterly dominated in Germany and abroad. When well into his 30s, coach Carlo Ancelotti started him on the bench a few times. The master coach explained his motives succinctly. I've told Frank, listen, you are like a Ferrari, and you can't drive a Ferrari every day, only on Sundays. Ribéry placed third in the prestigious Ballon d'Or in 2013, with only the remarkable Cristiano Ronaldo and Lionel Messi ahead of him. In the very best company. He has been 3 times French Player of the Year in 2007, 2008 and 2013, and once German Player of the Year in 2008, as well as being named the best player in Europe by UEFA in 2013. When Bayern won the FIFA Club World Cup in 2013, beating Morocco's Raja Casablanca in the final in Marrakesh, Ribéry was the player of the match. His style is beautifully natural and free-flowing, preferring to play left wing even though he is right-footed. If opponents were unable to predict his moves, then there was a good reason for that. Ribéry made it all up as he went along.
I just do what my gut tells me. Sometimes it works and sometimes it does not work, but I always want to try it, because that's my way of playing football.
In May 2019, Bayern confirmed Ribéry would be leaving the club after 12 seasons. And by winning a 9th Bundesliga trophy and club record 24 titles overall, Ribéry merely enhanced his reputation as a true immortal. Up next on the Immortals, the king of the big final, Didier Drogba. Didier Drogba certainly knew how to perform on the biggest stages, with the trophies to prove it.
My name is Didier Drogba and I'm playing for Chelsea Football Club. The dream for a young player like me was to come and play in England. It's the dream that made me become who I am now. I come from a poor family. I play football in Ivory Coast, in the street with my friends, with no shoes, there's no grass, small goals, but we still enjoy. It's good memories.
He hailed from the Ivory Coast, and he became arguably the greatest footballer ever out of Africa.
He is my hero.
Didier Drogba captained his country for almost a decade and appeared at 3 World Cups, including the Ivory Coast's momentous debut in the 2006 finals. His 65 goals and 104 appearances for Les Elephants are records. He also played club football in England, Turkey, China, France, and more recently, North America. But it is during his time at Chelsea in the English Premier League that Drogba, a striker with lethal goal-scoring ability, shone most. His 9 seasons at Stamford Bridge coincided with Chelsea's domination of English football. He won a Champions League final in 2012, along with the league title 4 times and 4 FA Cups. The expression big game player fits perfectly upon Drogba, who worked beautifully under Chelsea's legendary manager, Jose Mourinho.
I think it's because I experienced the feeling of losing finals before, so I'm scared to lose finals, so maybe that's why I gave everything.
He scored the equalizing goal in Chelsea's Champions League final victory against Bayern in 2012, and the title-clinching penalty as well. When he scored an extra-time goal to win the Turkish Super Cup final for Galatasaray in 2013, it was Drogba himself who coined the 10 finals, 10 goals, 10 titles line on social media. It's not clear which finals he counted in his tally, but it is true that in 4 FA Cup finals for Chelsea, he scored the winning goal, totaling 9 goals in those finals. Drogba's African heritage made him a significant figure across the world, particularly as a member of the Ivory Coast's Truth and Reconciliation Commission, which aims to foster peace in the strife-torn country.
I don't want people to think that I'm going to go into politics, because that's not, I will stay in football. I will stay in football because that's what I do best. Politics is not for me, and but talk to people about peace. Try to bring people together. This I think I can do, so I'm ready to help.
Drogba's foundation, formed in 2007, promotes health and education in Africa, and his humanitarian actions led Time magazine to include him in its list of 100 most influential people in the world in 2010. After leaving Chelsea at the end of 2012, Drogba played in Turkey, returning to Chelsea in 2014, and then as a veteran, signed to play in Canada with the Montreal Impact. As evidence of his massive popularity, hundreds of fans greeted him at Pierre Trudeau International Airport.
I wasn't a superstar before I joined all these big teams, you know, Marseille, then Chelsea, and all the others later. So I know how it is, I know how it feels, and a superstar is only the way people look at you. But in the dressing room, we're all the same. You know, I played with Frank Lampard, John Terry, and I played against big players, Steven Gerrard, Andrea Pirlo, and they're all simple guys. So we are human beings, and all I can do, all I can try to do is to give back to those people, those players who want to learn, and I think I'm going to learn also from them.
Drogba became owner-player of the Phoenix Rising in 2017, before retiring a year later at the age of 40, as one of football's all-time greats. He stepped into the shoes of the mighty Raúl as Spain's number 7, and David Villa lived up to the promise, becoming Spain's all-time high scorer. For most of his life, Villa was known colloquially as El Guaje, or the Kid, because he had begun his footballing journey playing against much older boys. But he became a man amongst men at Barcelona and with Spain across 3 World Cups. At Barcelona, he won La Liga twice and the Champions League in 2011, as well as the Copa del Rey, the UEFA Super Cup, and the FIFA Club World Cup. In Spanish colors, he was an integral part of the 2010 World Cup final triumph over Holland in South Africa, as well as being the top scorer in the 2008 Euro Championship, albeit when injury prevented him from participating in the final. Villa is a golden child of Spanish football, who dominated during a great period for his country, a striker with great power and finesse, and the will to use it. Ironically, he might well have been lost to football when he fractured his right leg as a 4-year-old. It was with that same repaired leg that he struck the picture-perfect 25-meter shot that curled around the fingertips of Manchester United's goalkeeper Edwin van der Sar and buried into the top right corner, sealing the Champions League final win for Barca over Manchester United at Wembley in 2011. Spain was the reigning World Cup and European champion at the time, and little wonder that the Spanish manager Vicente del Bosque expressed his gratitude. I'd have David Villa over Kaká and Cristiano Ronaldo. Recalled to Spain's squad in mid-2017, Villa leads his nation scoring with 59 goals. He scored 4 in Euro 2008 and 5 for the Silver Boot at the 2010 World Cup. He is also Spain's highest ever goal scorer in World Cups with 9. After his time at Barca, Villa moved to Atletico Madrid and won another La Liga title, his 3rd in 2014, and reached another Champions League final. But with limited opportunities and age catching up with him, he took the lure of moving to North America and signed with New York City.
Mr. David Villa! Yeah, I mean, it's amazing, you know. I mean, it's I couldn't believe, you know, myself a little bit. I said, well, we got a chance to get David. You know, he's just an amazing guy, a great player.
Villa was an instant sensation in the MLS, voted its most valuable player in 2016.
Today is a big day for me, one of the big days in my career, because 2 years and a half, when I decided to come in here to play soccer, some people thought and said, maybe I come here to find a golden retire. I try every day showing to the people with my body that I come in here for be strong, for be competitive, for to show everybody I wanna grow in my career, I wanna follow to make history.
When we return, one of goalkeeping's greatest, Petr Cech. He came close to dying on the football field, but it took more than a fractured skull to stop Petr Cech from plying his trade between the posts. He's a legend of Chelsea and one of the Czech Republic's greatest ever. Petr Cech retired from football after 4 seasons at Arsenal, but it was in the blue strip of Chelsea that he made his name as an immortal goalkeeper. From the time he was signed by Chelsea in 2004, he was outstanding. He kept a clean sheet in his first English Premier League game and went on to set a batch of league records, as well as clocking up multiple titles with Chelsea. In one of the London club's greatest eras, the sight of Cech hurling himself around in goal with his protective headgear became all too familiar. He helped the Blues win the English League title 4 times, as well as 4 FA Cups and the Champions League in 2012, when Chelsea beat Bayern Munich in a penalty shootout in the final at Munich. Cech made 2 saves in that penalty shootout, one from Bayern's Ivica Olic, and the match winner when he fingertipped Bastian Schweinsteiger's shot into the post. Cech's clean sheet records are numerous. He has the most in English Premier League history, 202 at the end of the 2018-19 season, and 33 ahead of former England keeper David James. He also has the equal most in one season, 21 in 2004-05 at Chelsea. He is held in a similarly high regard in his native Czech Republic, where his 124 caps is a record, and he was part of the 2006 team which reached the World Cup finals. Cech, of course, did not always wear the distinctive helmet. It came by necessity in the months after he had his skull fractured by an accidental knee to the head from Reading player Stephen Hunt in 2006. Medical staff have said since that the loose pieces of Cech's skull were millimeters from killing him that afternoon at Reading. But Cech returned 3 months later to make his reputation at Chelsea, where his 333 league games is the 3rd most in club history, behind John Terry and Frank Lampard, also legends of that glorious period. Leaving Stamford Bridge for Arsenal at the end of the 2014-15 season was forced upon Cech by dwindling opportunities.
Well, it was probably the hardest decision for me to go, but as I said, I believe that last year I realized that I'm not in a phase of my career where I would sit on the bench, and I want to be playing. I want to have a chance to compete for my position in the team, and I want to be useful for the team and do the usual stuff on the pitch week in, week out.
9 times he has won the Czech Republic Footballer of the Year. 4 times he won the Golden Glove as best goalkeeper in the English League. And once, in 2005, he was named World Goalkeeper of the Year.
I think you have to be brave, because not everyone can jump into the people's feet. No, everybody can dive into the melee of players where you know you're gonna get hurt. Nobody, you know that you have a lot of pressure, because goalkeeper in the football world is the one to blame anytime the goal is scored.
Petr Cech knew the goalkeeper's lot was not an easy one, but he emerged as one of the world's best. And needless to say, an immortal of football.